Chesterton says, they didn't love Rome because it was great, but Rome was great because they loved it. And the same can be said of America. Welcome to the video. This is the Lacey Brothers.
I just like that introduction.
Yeah, very energetic.
So, you probably think, is it the 4th of July? It is
August
not
30th.
when we are recording it.
True.
The reason you see so much America and freedom right now is because we're going to be talking a little bit about patriotism today. Because I don't know if you're like me or not, but I am so sick and tired of scrolling through my social media feeds and seeing who, I'm going to make a sweeping generalization here, leftists, in large part, talking about how gross and disgusting it is to be a patriot or patriotism and how it supports racism, bigotry, sexism, homophobia, and the liking. Because that's the fabric of America. That's what it's all tied into. Don't let anybody see you sharing the American flag or wearing the American flag or doing a video while wearing American glasses with American thing on the microphone while American flag is behind you.
Don't do it.
Don't do those things because you are a racist bigot. And I'm sick of that, okay? But more specifically within this group is leftist Christians who are leftists, that believe not only is it wrong because you are supporting these things, you are supporting and loving America, which is evil, but that it's actually idolatry because we're only supposed to love God. However, anything can be an idolatry if you love it more than God, okay? It's putting it before God. So just patriotism, the loving and being devoted and supporting your country, is not idolatry. However, what I don't want to do is conflate being an optimist with loving your country, okay? America, or leftist, is pessimistic when it comes to America. They see it all as bad. Everything's evil. But the optimists would see everything as good. I'm just calling for us to love it, okay? And I actually believe that it's not just something we should do, but we are called to do it biblically as Christians, is we should be patriotic about America.
So, we're going to get into...
I can't see in these. I'm taking these off, sorry.
I'm going to go as long as I can.
You do it, dude.
So, before we actually get into loving America and what that looks like without being a pessimist or an optimist in regards to America and its shortcomings or the good things that it does, I know that whenever I'm talking with someone or I'm debating someone, if they start off and I disagree with one of the first things they say, there are times that I will block out the rest of what they say. I'm not saying that's a good thing by any means, but I will go ahead and start formulating a rebuttal toward the first premise that they brought up, toward something that I'm like, gotcha. Not in a gotcha way, but in, hey, I disagree. I'm going to go ahead and start working on how I can explain that I disagree. I don't want people to do that. I think this video has good information that I would like everyone to hear. So in order to do that, I'm going to take what I think is going to be the biggest rebuttal to this argument, which is 1 John 2:15. So we're going to look at that. It says, "Do not love the world, nor the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him." Boom. Roasted. You're wrong. You can't love the world. America's in the world. Therefore, you can just turn off the podcast. Like, you can just exit out of this video. No. So, I want to examine this really quick, and then we can move on. So, let's look at the verse and look at the Greek definition of the word world that it uses, which is cosmos. The Greek and the Hebrew oftentimes had multiple definitions for one word, and then you would use the context to kind of decide which definition was being used. So, some of the possible definitions, the first one is the circle of the earth or the earth. But then there's one that is, it's really long, but basically it's sin in a nutshell. It's the things that keep us apart from God.
The lust of the world.
The lust of the world, yeah. So now we're going to look at the context. 1 John 2:15 through 17. "Do not love the world nor the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him." But then 16 says, "For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the boastful pride of life is not from the Father, but is from the world." 17, "The world is passing away and also its lusts, but the one who does the will of God lives forever." we don't have to like think real hard about it or be William Lane Craig to figure out which definition is being used in this context. It's the lust of the world that keeps us from God. It's not talking about the physical world and everything in it, because if it was, then we also have to turn our back away from other things that God says, which is love your neighbor, because our neighbors are in our communities, which are in America, which are in this world. Therefore, boom, roasted. You can turn the video off again for the second time if you made it there and then turned it back on for some reason. So, John 2:15 does not refute patriotism. So now you can relax and just listen to the rest of the show.
So how do I get this idea that we are supposed to be patriotic according to the Bible? How do I get this claim that God calls us to be patriotic? Well, simply put, is because where we live, where we are placed, is a gift from God. And we are to be thankful and love his gifts, okay? So, and this is nothing new, and I am talking about the physical land of the country right now. So, just for example, God created the earth in general, the whole earth, and I mean the physical earth when I say this, and he called it good. He deemed everything in it good, and he created it for man, so we could dwell with him. But then he actually devoted a specific portion of the land and made Eden, and that is where he placed Adam at, okay? So they could dwell together. So he gave him that gift of a specific piece of land. In Exodus 19, it tells us when God brought Israel out of Egypt, he took them to the foot of the mountain, Mount Sinai, okay? He brought them to himself, 19 tells us. So, once again, it was a specific land that he gifted the people so he could dwell with them. Not to mention, then the Israelites wandered around for 40 years waiting to be taken to the promised land, the land that he promised them would be theirs. He gives them it as a gift to do this, okay? America isn't the promised land. I'm not trying to say America is the promised land and it's God's chosen nation. There was only one chosen nation. It was Israel. We are not the promised land. But we were gifted this land. This is where he has placed us. If you are in America, this is where you're placed right now. It is a gift from God. So you are called to love it. Okay? And not just because of the merits, but because God gave it to you. It's a gift from God. So, with this in mind, I want to also bring up that we also have a special and unique love for the people of the country, because the country isn't just the land. This nation isn't just the land, it's about the people of the land. Galatians 6:10 tells us, so then as we have an opportunity, let us do good to everyone. See, that broad sense. And especially to those who are of the household of faith. So then it narrows it down to a unique set of people. 1 Timothy 5:8, if anyone does not provide for his relatives, see, a large group of people, and especially for the members of his own household, once again, unique, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever, because we are closer to these people. We have more in common with these people. We have a more of a responsibility, unique responsibility to these people. It is no different with our neighbors, loving our neighbors and our physical neighbors. Within America, within our own neighborhoods, across the street, we have a more unique responsibility to love them, to support them, to devote ourselves to being the light of the world to them because they see them more often. We interact with them more often. Culturally, we have more in common. There's more of a connection in those regards to them. It's more of a brotherhood. And lastly, America is also made up of, and you're not going to like this, the government, our leaders, our officials. Well, I don't like them at all. Well, according to Romans 13, it's a gift from God. Jesus was not some hippie anarchist who was anti-government, okay? Jesus is the Word in the flesh. When Paul is writing in Romans 13, we are to be subject to the government. This doesn't mean obey every single thing they do, even if it goes against God. We can see that in different stories that's not the case. The Hebrew boys, they wouldn't bow down to the government, but they accepted the punishment. Daniel, it goes on and on. So it's not about that, but it's about loving them and respecting them and understanding that it is indeed a gift from God for us, for our benefit. Without them, it would be complete anarchy. Like, I don't know, take some of the cities with the rioting going on right now where the cops aren't allowed to intervene. That's what it would be like on a daily basis. Okay? Our government is a gift for us. So, to show this brotherly affection, what we are supposed to have is storge. Storge is a Greek word for love, one of them, and it means to have affection for, a natural affection or desire for. For instance, this desk was made by somebody special to John and I, okay? I'm not saying this desk is better than every desk in the world, but I love it on account of I have affection for it. I have a special connection to this place, okay, this desk. That's the kind of love we're supposed to have for America, that storge in the Greek, the storge kind of love. So we are required by God to have patriotism, this storge love for our country. Not because we think it's greater and better than all the other countries, although I would argue it is one of the greatest countries to ever exist, but we love it just on account of it's ours. It's our home. It's our country.
If we want to see America succeed, truly succeed, love is the only view that can do this. A pessimist is going to look at it and only see the negatives, only the shortcomings, only the fails that America has, and we have them. In our past and our present, we have those. And an optimist is going to be on the other side and only see the good that we've done. And America is great. I'm not going to make any bones about it. America is 100% fantastic. But that's not why we love it. Chesterton says, they didn't love Rome because it was great, but Rome was great because they loved it. And the same can be said of America. We have to love her with the storge love. It's not a logical love. It's not something that because you benefit from it, you love it. It's this idea that it's ours. It's our home. And that's why we love it. It's like a mother with her child. It's just ours. And we have to love it.
Side note, I don't know if you guys could hear cars out here, but it's really loud, and if you can, sorry, there's cars outside. I don't know. There's nothing I can do about it. I just heard it and wanted to say it.
If we can love America, truly love America for every good thing that she is, and the bad things, and work on those bad things, we can make her greater than she is. And that's what we have to do. Love doesn't see America as perfect. But ours. Okay. Love doesn't see America as perfect, but as ours. That's what I was trying to say. Which means it's ours to improve. So we still see it as having flaws, but it's ours to improve it. Any type of love is going to take work. Because love is a relationship. And you have to put an effort with that. You're going to have to work hard. It's going to come up short. America's going to fail again. In certain aspects, that's not like it's going to happen. Because everything fails, except God, obviously. But we're not going to be a pessimist and only look at that. We're not going to be an optimist and only look at that and just ignore the things that it fails at and only look at the good. America is great. I don't want to argue the greatness of America, because if you're not even willing to admit that America is great, then you're not willing to have an honest conversation. You can't sit here and enjoy all the benefits that we have in America, the freedom of speech, which is promised to no other country. It's in our Constitution. We have that right of freedom of speech. But if you're not going to acknowledge that it's great as you sit here and its benefits, then we can't have a conversation. And I've heard so much about the Scandinavian countries lately. Oh, they have socialized healthcare and they're doing great. They also don't allow immigration. They have one of the freest economies in the world. Like, they do a lot of things different than just that.
Who are you talking to that sounds like that?
That's just how they sound in my head.
Okay.
But no, people flock to America. We take in, I want to say half, don't quote me on that. We take in a lot of immigrants every year. Most of the world's immigrants every year, I believe. It could be half, it could be less. I know it's a lot. Why would they flock to a place that they don't believe is great? That doesn't even make sense. No one's going to flock to a place that's worse than the place they're at. America is fantastic. America is great. Everyone benefits from the American society that we have right now. Everyone. So love is the only way that we're going to be able to grow and continue to grow America. But the leftists that are so pessimistic and only see the failings, they won't have that honest conversation about the greatness of America, because they don't even care about the good things that America is trying to do. Take Rand Paul, for example. Went out with his wife and is bombarded and harassed about Say Her Name, talking about Breonna Taylor. Rand Paul has a bill right now called the Justice for Breonna Taylor. I believe it's Breonna. It could be Brianna. I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. The Justice for Breonna Taylor Act, which gets rid of no-knock warrants. He's already saying her name. He's doing what he can do. But they don't care. Because they have such disdain for this country that any opportunity they have to protest and to riot, they're going to take. Because they only see it for every bad thing that America has ever done. They're like the friends that say, I hate to say, and then they say something negative, but they continue to say negative things all the time because they don't hate to say it. They get joy out of being a negative Nancy. And that's what's happening in America. There are so many people running around that want America to be this disgusting, vile nation that anything to the contrary, that can't be true. America is what I say it is. And if we simply approve or disapprove of America like the pessimist or the optimist, America's going to stay flawed and it's never going to grow. Because we're not going to acknowledge that it has things that it needs to grow from, or we're not going to acknowledge that it has the potential to grow, in which case we can just destroy it or leave. Those are the only two options left. But if we truly love America simply for it being ours, for being our home, then we can assess it and truly make it the best that it can be, which is even better than it already is.
So, why do these people who view America as pessimists, why do they hate it? Why can't they look and say there's things that are wrong with it, but there's so many things that are great about it, and we can just try to improve it? Why do they have to hate it? Well, this isn't hard to figure out, okay? This leftist ideology has been around for at least the past 10 years that I can remember. And it has always been used to kind of shield. At one time, it was just like the gay marriage, whenever that was being talked about. The LGBTQ plus the alphabet group. It's been used as a shield, basically, to just shield them. And the ideology goes like this: if you love me, you must agree with me, or you don't love me. To disagree with me is to hate me. This is the ideology that's been taught and been spewed. And even, all we're asking for is toleration, but then when you disagreed, they'd be like, well, you hate me. Well, you don't understand then what toleration is. For me to tolerate something, I have to disagree with it. Doesn't mean I hate it, but I can't tolerate something I agree with, right? So this ideology is exactly what's going on in this situation, because it must be applied or else they ruin and contradict their own ideology. So when it comes to America, when they see stuff they disagree with by their own ideology, they must hate it. Because if they love America but disagree with it, or if they love America, then that means to them they agree with everything America does. That means any flaws they see, they have to agree with, so they can't love it. Their own ideology has prevented them from being able to just look at the country and love it and want the best for it. Because they disagree with certain things, they have to hate it. That's their own rules. They've locked themselves in this box. This simply just isn't true, though. That's not what love is. It's a very flawed understanding of love. Thank God, as Christians, that Jesus did not look at us while we were sinners and say, because I disagree with what they're doing and because it's sin, I don't love them. It was actually quite opposite. While we were sinners, He loved us. He sent His Son. He died for us. While we were sinners, while He disagreed with us, but He still loved us and He wanted to bring us to Himself, to cure us, to heal us, to replace us, fix us, give us a new heart. Thank God, that is true love. Being able to look at something, just be like, I want you because you're mine, not because of what you have to offer me. So, when we are true patriots, when we have this true patriotism, it is loving America and being able to see its flaws, and then trying our best to remediate those things because we love America and we want it to be greater than it already is. We want it to continue to improve and continue to get better. That's what patriotism is all about. There are things in America that I think are disgusting. Abortion. Half the Republicans in office right now have no spine to do anything. That both parties spend money as if we're Jeff Bezos. The fact that women celebrate the song WAP as women empowerment that's just makes themselves sex objects while fighting the patriarchy that objectifies women by making them sex objects. Our culture, I weep for it. These are things I hate, but I can still love America and want to see those things fixed. Because I don't love America because it is great, while it is, but I just love it because it's my home. So that's all we have on this subject right now. If you want to dive deeper into these things, John Piper's got great messages about this. Chesterton, read his book Orthodoxy. The chapter Flag of the World is great. In Lewis's book Four Loves, you can learn more about the Greek word storge and what all that love includes. The motherly kind of love for a kid of just it being theirs. And we will see you next week. And that's it.
Thanks, guys.